I decided to, make a video that's somehow light. A lot of my videos are quite heavy. And if you've watched a lot of my videos where I've actually spoken about Kenyans, you'll think like, oh my god, there's really nothing good about Kenyans. But obviously there's so many things that are good about being Kenyan, about Kenya as a country. But I do believe that the negatives outweigh the positives. And that's why the country is most of the time just not doing well for its own citizens. However, today I'm going to be spotlighting the positives of Kenyans. I am not the kind of person that likes to wallow in the miasma of toxic positivity, because we need to be honest with ourselves for us to really create the lives that we dream of. Without much further ado, let's look at what Kenya does better than the rest of the world. The first, of course, is multiculturalism. And here I'm not really talking about the fact that Kenya has over 42 tribes. There is that, of course, we have a wealth of ethnicities. There's this other aspect that is rarely talked about, which is cultural intelligence. And it's something that as Kenyans, we just have at a high level. And this is because even when you look at the music that we listen to, look at the movies that we are watching, like from all parts of the world, it's very normal that if you sit down for 24 hours to watch a Kenyan TV station, you're going to find yourself watching Kenyan content. There's content from other countries in Africa, then there is content from the Philippines, especially the telenovelas from Philippines, from Mexico. Oh my god, the Mexican telenovelas were my absolute favorite. They're the ones that really shaped my adolescence years. We also watch a lot of Bollywood now, thanks to streaming services like Netflix, like Disney Plus, like Amazon Prime. We are watching Korean shows, we are watching Turkish shows, we are watching shows from Hollywood, we are watching shows from UK. And of course, you cannot talk about the cultural awareness of a lot of Kenyans without talking about white supremacy. A lot of Kenyans really have an affinity for Western cultures. And actually, when you look at a lot of Kenyan content, it mirrors a lot of Western content, especially American culture. Actually, most of the time I make fun of Kenya. I say that Kenya is like a mini America. But it's a fact. A lot of Kenyan musicians aspire to the Grammys. A lot of Kenyan actors aspire to the Oscars. There's even a Kenyan version of the Real Housewives franchise. There's even a version of the Say Yes to the Dress. In Kenya, they call it Wow, That's the Dress. I think that's what it's called. When you look at Kenyan news anchors, they actually don't look like they're Kenyan. Most of them don't even wear their hair in the natural state. You would expect that because Kenya is a majority black country, that we would be wearing our hair in the most authentic way, whether it's with braids, whether it's in our natural hair. But when you look at Kenyan news anchors now, it has to be the synthetic, or is it human hair, wigs and waves. Regardless of that, it doesn't negate the fact that a lot of Kenyans have a high cultural awareness or a high cultural intelligence on a global scale. The second thing that Kenya does very well is mobile money technology. The moment I really realized this was the moment I found myself in France about 5 years ago. I remember just thinking, wow, this is supposed to be a first world country, and what? You don't have mobile money technology? Of course, you have like Apple Pay and all that, but no. In Kenya, we have M-pesa. Kenya has been at the forefront of mobile money technology. And when it really comes to this point in particular, I don't understand why the people who are working in the department in the government that deals with technology are not using this to push for a lot more investments. One thing about Western countries, if one thing works, they're going to use that to attract investments, to attract tourists. You have to latch on that one thing that has worked, because the moment you can get people's attention with that one thing that has worked well, then they can come to you and they can be able to experience many other things that you have to offer. And you know very well in the world that we are living in today that when it comes to innovation, there's a lot of respect that is put on innovation. So if every Kenyan was like, we're the best in mobile money technology, literally everyone will be coming here to benchmark and all that. But because, oh my god, we need a little bit more self-love, we need to believe in ourselves, we need to do the bragging. The church is always being like, blessed that they're humble because I don't know, they have doors of heaven. No, closed mouths don't get fed. I've said this and I'll say it again. Even when you're working in a company, if you're doing a good job but you are not telling people about the good job that you're doing, somebody else is going to take your achievements because you're not talking about them. They might as well just steal your achievements, and then you're going to see them getting promoted and you're like, this is so unfair. Why am I not getting promoted? I did all the work. No one knew that you did the work. Somebody else could say, you know, Kenya has now become like a silicon savannah. But ask yourself, are a lot of Kenyans actually benefiting from these investments that are coming in? Or it's the foreign people that are actually benefiting by doing a lot of investment things in Kenya? That's something we need to look at. That thing that Kenya is good at than the rest of the world, and I will stand by this until the day I die, is food. The food that we have in Kenya, we take it for granted. And I know this because before I went to France, I used to be like, cabbage is the worst thing in the world. I don't want to eat cabbage. I've been traumatized by cabbage from school, and ever since I came back from France, the only thing I've been eating is cabbage. The taste of the food that we have here, the natural taste. When you taste beans, that natural flavor of beans that you can just savor, that you can just enjoy. You don't even need to add a lot of spices to your food. Actually, a lot of our foods in Kenya, we don't add a lot of spices because they just have that natural flavor that is just fantastic. I mean, the potatoes, the rice, the vegetables, fruits, my god, the bananas, the pineapples, the pawpaws. I enjoy every second of them. The oranges, the sausages. Did you know I actually preferred eating vegan sausages in France than their meat sausages because the vegan sausages tasted much better. Can you imagine that? And this great taste is really thanks to the great equatorial climate. It's equatorial, it's tropical, it's hot and wet throughout the year. So, you know, everything just gets really ripe nicely. Juices just flow nicely. We really take it for granted. We actually don't know the treasure that we have when it comes to food. And again, this is one of the things we should be bragging about. You know, when you hear things like the Wagyu beef from Japan that's grass-fed and all that, Kenyan meat tastes better than that, you know? Our cows, they eat grass that has not been polluted, grass that has grown in an equatorial climate that gets all that good sun, so the grass is really tasty even to the cows. So you can imagine even just the taste of the meat of the cows and the goats and all that. For those who eat meat, you know that Kenyan meat, you don't even need to add salt. It's just great on its own. We should be charging top dollar for that, but because we do not know what we have, it really angers me, because I have worked in marketing and I know that you can literally turn dirt into gold just by how you talk about it. And the way we just have a wealth of resources in this country, in Kenya, and we're not doing anything about it. Until when are we going to be singing about, the Maasai, the animals? We have so many things to offer. The fourth thing that a lot of Kenyans actually do better than a lot of people in other countries is being innovative, coming up with new ideas. Something that is paralyzing this innovation and the great ideas that a lot of Kenyans have is the lack of audacity, lack of self-confidence, lack of self-love. This means that a lot of Kenyans actually stop themselves from acting on these ideas that they have because they don't feel like they're worthy. Something that as Kenyans we really need to learn is not just believing in ourselves, but also just supporting our own ideas, because newsflash, no one else is going to support you if you do not support yourself. I was having a conversation the other day and someone actually pointed out that in Kenya, most specifically, I mean this also applies to a lot of African countries, if you asked people to fundraise money for you to start a business, no one is going to do that. But if you died the same day, they're going to fundraise a lot of money to bury you. And this is just one of the problems. We are not investing in our own ideas. We have a government that is actually trying to punish people who are innovative, people who are creative. I mean, the government literally does nothing for people who are innovative and creative, but once you actually build something from the ground up and it becomes successful, instead of them being like, how can we help you, they're like, oh, this is the amount of taxes that you need to be paying, these are the number of licenses that you need. They literally just want to kill everything. And so a lot of people who are seeing this and are innovative and they have great ideas are like, why should I even start if this is what is happening to those who, you know, literally struggled to build themselves from the ground up? You're not getting any support, and it's not just financially, but it's also emotional support, psychological support. I mean, you're all going to be told over and over, it's not gonna work, it's not gonna work, why even trying? How is someone actually going to have even the inspiration to do it? Because a lot of these ideas are not to just help the individual, they're going to help the community in the long run and other generations. But if you're not believing in ourselves, believing in those who are around us, then we're just doomed. Because trust me, no one else is gonna do that. And the final thing that Kenyans are really great at than the rest of the world is complacency and victim mentality. I'll be the first to really acknowledge that we have one of the most unknowing and useless governments in the world. It is very much cannibalistic, but also, let's be honest, the government didn't get there on its own. It's Kenyans that installed this government. Yes, the Kenyan government has a problem, and really, you know, the problem becomes when we're using big words like the government and leaders. Then what you're telling your mind is that this is a system that we cannot fight against. But when you actually start using specific names, then it's easier to actually deal with it, because you can deal with them one by one. Look at the Ministry of Transport. What are they doing? I mean, it really baffles me that right now in 2024 in Kenya, we do not have a high-speed rail, and yet in the 60s we had a functioning railway, which obviously, because of time and technology and innovation, should have been upgraded to a point where now we should be having a high-speed rail. It doesn't make sense that for a lot of Kenyans, they have to spend at least 6 hours from Eldoret to Nairobi, when that could be literally like 45 minutes or an hour by train. We cannot talk about, oh, there's a plane. It's not affordable for a lot of Kenyans. But the reason why we don't have that is precisely because of corruption of people, because some few people sat down and they were like, oh, the rail network is going to not make us make a lot of money, so we need to kill it so we can have the matatus, huge trailers to be transporting goods. But that literally doesn't make sense when hundreds of Kenyans are dying on Kenyan roads every single day. That is the cost of corruption. And I say that a lot of Kenyans are very complacent, because despite the fact that a lot of Kenyans die unnecessarily on Kenyan roads every single day, no one is really doing anything about it. People are just quiet. People think that it's just business as usual. It's always reported in the news, and people are like, oh well, an accident happened. We even have black spots, and no one is doing anything about it. The whole country should be striking, because lives are getting lost unnecessarily every single day, but you're sitting there quiet because it hasn't happened to you. And then when it happens to you, you want to cry, why is no one helping me? Silence begets silence. This is the cost of complacency. And then you're going to come and be like, why is this happening to me? It's happening to you because you didn't take action. No one's gonna save you. And I know a lot of you have been told that, oh, to wait for the Savior, Jesus is going to save you. You need to take action for things to actually change, for you to live the life that you want.